And we are rolling. So today we are in our astrology study group, and we are doing part 2 of the sun versus rising. And remember that the sun is your core, it is the essence, it is the beingness of you. But the rising sign is your mask you show to the world, or also the lens that you filter the world through. You know, it's your front porch. It's how you you want to show yourself to the world. For instance, if you have sometimes it's maybe easier to subdue a loud sign. So say that you have a Leo rising. Well, let me put it this way. How about you have a Leo sun? Your sun is very animated and outward and bold and confident. But then let's say that your rising sign is Pisces. And we'll get to that today. But Pisces, as you can just know, is a little bit more backstage. It's a bit more reticent. I guess that's going to come up. Okay. So, so again, if you have just to recap a little bit, we're talking about a little bit between the differences between sun and rising. And again, it's sometimes easier to see if you have one of them is loud and one of them isn't. So for instance, if you have a Leo sun, your sun is outward and courageous and bold and full of heart and magnanimous and kind of, louder on stage, showy. That's your outward personality. But let's say you have a Pisces rising. That would dampen that a little bit. It would make that Leo think a little bit before it roars. It's going to go, oh, am I going to wake anybody up? So instead of going, oh, it goes, or something like that. It puts a little tone on it. It wants to be known as a little bit more sensitive. Something like that, but we'll talk more. So, okay, we got this. Always all these little controls when I start. All right, so I'm thinking that you are seeing my screen. Yes, as you're sharing. So I think that's how we came in. I think I had that up. So if not, anybody can just unmute themselves and say no at any time. But I'm going to go ahead and start here. So moving on with that. This out of the way. Now, there we go. So we're on to now the next sun sign. We went through Libra last time. We went actually one more, but here's where we are. Now the sun is in Scorpio. So the sun in Scorpio people are, now remember we've gone halfway around the year. We went past Libra. Now we're just finishing that home stretch back to we're going to go through the winter cycle now. We just kind of started into the fall. So the sun in Scorpio people are intensely loyal. They're intuitive, powerful, and love a good challenge. Intense and complex. You have extremely strong emotional reactions to most situations. Sorry. Feelings are often very difficult for you to verbalize. Therefore, you have a tendency to be very quiet, to brood and think a lot. You seldom get overtly angry, but when you do, you are furious and unforgiving. When you make an emotional commitment, it is total or just, it's it. You're not attracted to superficiality or casual relationships. You like depth. You are a depthy sign. You don't like to just chat about the weather. It's like watching paint dry for you. If you're challenged, let's see if I can back up. When you make an emotional commitment, it is total. You are not attracted to superficial or casual relationships. If you are challenged, you take it as a personal affront and tend to lash out and fight back in a vengeful manner. You love mysteries and the supernatural. A good detective, and you love to get to the root of problems, and you enjoy finding out what makes other people tick. It's that mystery thing. It's that look behind. It's that enticing of the mystery. You are known to be very willful, very powerful, and quite tenacious. Solar Scorpios absolutely have their own mind, and their primary motivation is unlikely to be prestige, like their Capricorn friends, or even authority. Leos can have that too, but it's real power for Scorpio. Their power can absolutely be of the behind the scenes variety, just as long as they have it. To others, Scorpios seem to have plenty of willpower. They probably do. Scorpios do know what they want, and they won't go out and grab it at the wrong moment. They simply sit back. They have more patience. You know, it's a fixed sign. It's fixed water. So they simply sit back, watch quite expertly, and then get on it. And when the moment is just right, this apparent patience is simply their powerful skills of strategy at work. People with Sun in Scorpio are William DiCaprio, Wilhelm, with that. Katie Hudson, Hillary Clinton, and now look at this. This is interesting. These dates close together. Bill Gates. Look at the 26th and the 28th, and they're very, very similar kind of personality types. Jodie Foster, November 19th. Julia Roberts. Interesting, right there. Same dates as Bill Gates. Demi Moore. Charles Manson. Pablo Picasso, the Prince of Wales. So these are pretty depthy, people. This definitely, these are definitely depthy type people. All right. The Scorpio rising now. So now we've taken that from that inner beingness of that Scorpio sun. So if it's the rising, these people have a lot of presence. You know that there's something about them that, that they're not to be pushed around. They kind of have that little silent, don't F with me kind of attitude a lot. At outer, it's more of a kind of a push, or there's this little bit of a veneer, this outer presence. So their manner commands respect, and in some cases even fear. Scorpio rising people can be quiet or loud, but they're always seem powerful and determined. And I've also noticed that a lot of them really have a sharp tongue. They are just they can just cut you. They just say this something, and that outward tongue. Blah, blah, blah. This is like that, like you're fat or you're ugly, rather than I've seen a better dress on you, and you are, a little bit swollen. They just cut to the chase sometimes, but not in a mean way. But I don't think they just are real penetrating. Maybe it's penetrating. They seem to look right through people, seeing through their superficiality. This can be quite intimidating to some and intriguing to others. Scorpio rising people value their privacy very much, that it can sometimes border on paranoia. They have a strong need to control their environment and are experts at this strategy. Rarely people who will blow their chances with impatience. They plan out their moves carefully and deliberately, relying on their awesome ability to feel out others in situations. Remember, it's still a water sign, and it's got that receptiveness to it. So that's the front. That's the, that front porch. It's got to be, it's mysterious. It's intriguing. What is that? I can't quite tell. Scorpio rising natives are drawn to down-to-earth, practical partners because they're so mysterious. They need something solid there. Reliability in their partner is very important. They generally look for a complete commitment and have little patience with flighty partners. So both that part, you're going to find similarities. Neither Scorpio sun or rising likes the superficial qualities like some of the other signs, some of the air signs. But the rising is, you're going to see that more. Where the sun, you may not see it. It may not be apparent. It take you a while to figure it out. All right, so Scorpio, famous people, Scorpio rising are Ed Asner. And then this is able to show you what their ruling planet. That's why it says Mars in, because Mars rules Scorpio, traditional ruler. And that's what that's all about. So Ed Asner, Bo Bridges, and then also think about the Scorpio sun, just kind of how they look, and then the Scorpio rising too. So Scorpio rising is, again, your masculine face, so it's kind of like your appearance as well. And try to see some similarities with these people. They may look intense. They may have a dark features, narrowed features, strong features, something like that. So Ed Asner, Bo Bridges, James Caan, Johnny Carson. I mean, he's And then there you go with one of them with Johnny Carson. If those of you remember him or have seen him, he had such a wit, and he was so quick with his tongue. It was amazing. He would just bam with something, he'd just come right up. But I don't know what his sun sign is. We'll have to look at that sometime. But that would be an interesting study. But there's a very good God, I'm tongue tied here. A very good person to represent a Scorpio rising there, I think, without being edgy. Paul Cezanne, Dick Clark. Now, that's interesting too. Those of you remember that early show, he was pretty on the ball. Christian Dior, Michael Douglas, and now he's pretty intense looking. Clint Eastwood, I tell you what, I mean, there you go, totally. He just was he looked very scorpionic. With his narrowed eyes, close, kind of squinty, intimidating looking for sure. Fabio, John Fogerty, Aretha Franklin, Sigmund Freud, Katharine Hepburn, Victor Hugo, Chris Christopherson. I mean, these people look intense. Katharine Hepburn, she had a certain look. I mean, remember her face. Chris Christopherson. How about Cheech Martin, Cheech and Chong, Penny Marshall, Laverne and Shirley, Jack Nicholas. That's for sure. Look, I mean, he's pretty similar. He's kind of got that similar intense look about him. Bernadette Peters, Prince. There's Mr. Mysterious. There, all that external. He had that look, right? Diane Ross, Martha Stewart, Oliver Stone. So there's a lot of good. Loretta Swit and Robin Williams. Mm-hmm. All right, Sun and Sag. The Sun and Sag people are merry, witty, and are always looking for an adventure. They're restless, cheerful, and friendly. They have a love of freedom and a disdain for routine. Generally quite easygoing, Sagittarians make friends with people from all walks of life. They often have a blind faith in people and in the world. They're optimistic, and it's infectious, although it can get them into trouble from time to time. Although generally easygoing, Sag is a fire sign, remember, so that gives them a little bit quicker temper or ability to respond. So fortunately, they're usually as quick to forget what they got angry about in the first place. So if they flare up and then it's forgot. Oh, what? The need for escape is generally strong, and some solar Sagittarians come across as a little irresponsible. They're generally easy to forgive, however. After all, their direct, honest approach to life is admirable. Creative energy is directed toward one's ideals and aspirations. Sometimes high standards can lead to an intolerance and insensitivity. Famous people with Sun and Sagittarius, Taylor Swift, Brad Pitt. Now try to remember some of these, because some of these people they'll have the same. You'll see their ascendant too. So Brad Pitt comes up. So it'll be interesting to remember. It's like, okay, he was a Sun and Sag, and then whatever his rising is. Okay, so back to that. Britney Spears, Scarlett Johansson, Jean Macron, Miley Cyrus, Christina Aguilera, Bruce Lee. Now, I'm trying to remember if he has a Scorpio, what his rising, maybe it was a Capricorn rising. But it's like, he's got this little goofy tint to him, the Sag, but then the exterior is like way different. It's like, oh, I'm going to mess with you. Jim Morrison of the Doors, that's what gave him that philosophical side, the Sagittarian. Ted Bundy, Jimi Hendrix. Now, Sagittarius rising, the world is filled with adventure, new things to experience, and most of all, hope with this ascendant. There's an unmistakable faith and enthusiasm with Sag rising people. Grand schemes, big promises, and a willingness to explore and experiment are themes, although follow through is not generally strong characteristics of a Sag rising. It's a mutable sign. That's the outer adventure. Oh, I'll just go on over here. Hi, everything's fine. Let's do this over here. It's jolly. It's happy. It's got a good flow. And that would be so different if you had, if you're a Sag rising and say you've got a little bit more of a dour Capricorn sun. that would definitely lighten that up, you know. So the sun is going, no, we should work and got to do this. And the Capricorn says, yes, but it's Monday. So these individuals are somewhat restless and often active people. They always seem to be looking for something that is just out of grasp. And many do this their entire lives. Because again, remember Sagittarius is that half horse, half man. They can be quite direct at times, that direct honesty. And remember, it's on the rising, so they can have that blurt of honesty, whereas the Scorpio rising is penetrating and it's edgy. It's almost, it could be mean, it could be sarcastic, you know, like, you know, but Johnny Carson, he kept it kind of cool. But Sagittarius is just, sorry, it's just honest. So they can be direct, yet that here they're faux pas, you know, what they just would say. Oh, it's just they say things in passing, and they're so lovable you'll just forgive it. So they have a lot to say. Their insights and opinions are usually interesting and exciting, although sometimes lacking in detail. One of the most obvious and endearing traits of Sagittarius rising is their willingness to keep up a sense of humor. Even when they're feeling low, they manage to find humor in life and have fun with whatever they're doing. Remember Steve Martin? There was an old comedy routine of him. You know, he was, I think it was from the Let's Get Small album. He was like, he was pretending to do Nixon, you know, with a banjo. And he's like, Nixon's on the beach. He's like, oh, no, no, no. If he had a banjo, he'd be like, oh, yup, yup, yo, yup, yup, yo. And he just reminded me of, you know, there's no, but then that whole just outer expression of that. So they have fun with whatever they're doing. And this placement of Sagittarius as the ruling planet is Jupiter will give more clues as to how they go about expressing themselves. For instance, if their Jupiter's in Capricorn, it might give them a more sarcastic approach, but underneath there lies an unmistakable hope in the spirit for living. People with Sag rising are Brad Pitt, Scarlett Johansson. So there's you should have Scorpio with the Sag rising, wouldn't it? Kim Kardashian, Princess Diana, Jodie Foster. You can see that with her. I mean, she's like a real serious. I think she's a Capricorn, but she's got that little Sag rising, which makes her really, you know, really cute kind of. Eminem, Leonardo da Vinci. I know, it's so funny. Sometimes there's these birth times for some of these famous people. It's like, look at that. He's born in 1452. So somebody had his birth time because to know his rising. Mother Teresa, Sag rising. Oprah Winfrey. I can see that in her. She's kind of got that goofy exterior, you know, that's really a likable trait, whereas the Scorpio exterior is intimidating trait. It's like you look at it, oh, that's intimidating. Oh, that's likable. You know, it's goofy or something. You feel more at ease. You don't feel like you're going to get, or they're looking at you. Bruce Lee, there we go. So Sag rising and what was that, Scorpio there? Or no, well, he was a Sag. Was he a double Sag? Okay. Elizabeth Taylor and Marlon Brando. Interesting. Sun Capricorn. They're very grounded, practical, patient, resolute, and are always looking for the next level to achieve. Again, think of the archetype, you know, that goat. It's a mountain goat. They're climbing up to get to the next plateau. You know, they want to go up and be, you know, accomplishment. I'm up here and I'm safe and I'm at the top and I'm here and I can eat this grass. Nobody's going to bother me. I achieved that. So extremely serious and mature, you are capable of accepting responsibilities and do so willingly. Others expect you to be dutiful as a matter of course. You tend to get angry when people get rewards after not having worked anywhere near as hard as you. You are goal-oriented and an achiever by nature. There's that goat. You're a hard worker and are justifiably proud of the tangible results of your efforts. It's a different goat than Aries. Aries has got ram goat, but you know, Aries just bashes through stuff. This one kind of climbs up the mountain there. You tend to have tunnel vision. This allows you to block out extraneous matters that might distract others and to concentrate totally on the matter at hand. I mean, that goat has got to pay attention to, I mean, you've seen goats, I don't know if you've ever seen a goats climb up a mountain and stuff. It's amazing. I mean, they go up precarious placements, hopping and putting their feet exactly without falling down into the precipice. I'm sure some of them do, but it's amazing to watch one. If you haven't done that, check it out on YouTube or something and watch one. It's crazy. So you can see how this would be. You have to block out and be totally focused on that. It's like one wrong slip, bye. So as such, you are the ideal one to manage or administrate any ongoing project and to be practical and efficient at it. You are not a fast worker, but you are quite thorough. You are known for being totally persistent, tenacious, and tireless in reaching your goals. Of course. All right. Capricorns. Capricorn is a feet on the ground, eye on the prize sign. They are realistic, grounded. They are realistic, and their grounded approach to life that can be seen no matter how dreamy the rest of the birth chart suggests. These people know how to do things and get things done. Like their earth sign relatives, Taurus and Virgo, they need to feel useful and effective in the real world in order to be satisfied with their lives. But the Capricorn spin on the earth sign is that they have a stronger need for recognition in a worldly sense. They have a strong sense of society and its framework, and they feel most secure when they feel they are doing their part within that framework. Capricorns like to pare things down and take pleasure in the simple things in life. However, many are attracted to status symbols. Solar Capricorns can see into the future and plan for it. They don't mind taking things slowly, but they absolutely aim to get on top of the mountain in life. They make their way steadily and sure-footedly, and their strength and singleness of purpose are admirable. Capricorns can sometimes be rather lonely people, although they rarely let it show. They're often a little reserved, even standoffish. That is generally because they value all things practically, and they'll seldom wear their emotions on their sleeves unless they have a particularly flamboyant moon sign. This is where we get, this is not absolute, and I'm glad that we can point some of these things out as we go, because I don't want you to think that all of these things are all inclusive. Every Capricorn is lonely. That is not it at all. It just tends to be, it's like, the goat is by itself climbing up the mountain. It's not like the Taurus bull in the herd. Totally different feel to some of these things. So it makes sense to grab these large concepts and then you got to tweak them. So that's when we start to narrow down and we go, oh gosh, I have a this rising, or I've got a that moon, and that either exemplifies this more or kind of checks it, or gives you some other little nuance to it. So again, let's take this, if it has a flamboyant moon sign, what if it has a Leo moon? So you got this careful Capricorn with this flamboyant Leo emotional body, and then the rest of everything, that person is wanting to be focused. You can imagine the conflict or the drama that would ensue. So this is a sign that is surely the most resourceful of the zodiac. To some, Capricorns come across as unimaginative, but they can be enormously creative when it comes to the material world. They are generally very capable people with a strong sense of tradition and responsibility. There is a seriousness to Capricorn. Whoops. Oh, now we'll get back over this. That Capricorn rising. Uh-oh, I didn't put some Capricorn suns. Oh, well, we will get back to them. Okay, so Capricorn rising now, let's jump over to that. So Capricorn rising people are often unmistakable. Even when they're joking around, it's of a deadpan variety. In fact, plenty of very humorous people have Capricorn ascendants. It's all in the timing and the fact that they don't giggle before the joke is over. They can really keep a straight face there. Often the ascendant, this is interesting. The ascendant persona is the one that was forced upon us by family conditioning. For example, parents may label their Libra ascendant child the nice one, their Aries ascendant child the independent one, and their Pisces ascendant child generally the space cadet of the family. We adopt these roles as familiar ones and often carry them with us as our defense mechanisms in some way or another for the rest of our life. In the case of Capricorn ascendants, these were the children who were considered the responsible ones. Sometimes it was they themselves who looked around and felt the need to be structured and dependable and responsible members of the family. So often the Capricorn rising people adopted a strong sense of tradition, family, and responsibility at a very young age. And I've definitely seen that with a lot of the Capricorn rising people. You'll find them like, I was a paper boy at 4 and I was babysitting at 6, and I started investing at 8, and but really they I remember talking to one person. He was selling candy. He was his Halloween candy, selling the candy, making money from that. You just can't make this stuff up. It's just the way things are. Capricorn rising people are generally big on family and forever worry about security for themselves and their dependents. They come across to others as hardworking, competent, and dependable because, that's what they want to show to the world. They come across to others. We can have this real goofy inside, like a Sagittarius kind of, but then they're going to come across really, they'll probably talk the same something. Or just, have that exterior responsibility. Or maybe dress a certain manner to make you think that they're real. Or maybe they have their hair real coiffured, and so if you got that certain, oh yeah, they look really responsible. Aren't they mature isn't he mature for his age? Isn't she showing? Isn't she mature? Some Capricorn rising people practice some form of self-denial. They know how to do away with the frivolous. That's part of their focusing. Like, I'm not going to pee until I finish reading this. They know how to deal with the frivolous. Not peeing is frivolous, but still they'll spend money on clothes that they really want, the ones with the right labels or that show, hey, I'm cool, I'm responsible, and other status symbols. Although they're rarely showy, their quiet air of success is often a result of conscious effort. So, if they look good, then that's that quiet look, that they don't have to say and get people's attention of it. More often than not, Capricorn rising individuals are success stories. Their early childhoods may have been difficult, but they slowly and surely turn their lives around. Famous people with Capricorn rising: Michelle Obama, Martin Luther King Jr., Elvis Presley. Who's that? David Robert Jones. Jim Carrey, Mel Gibson, Sir Isaac Newton, Muhammad Ali, Nostradamus. I thought that was pretty sick. Look at that one. I mean, of course, they're going to know his date, 1503. Wow. Joan Baez. I mean, look at her music. I mean, she's not, hip hop, happy music. She's way dour and serious. She's in minor keys and just strumming. It's like you can tell that's just that type of energy to the world. Just serious there. Sun in Aquarius. The Sun in Aquarius people are known for their brilliant mind and their ability to think outside of the box. One of the standout characteristics of those born under the sign of the Sun sign Aquarius is their unwillingness to follow the beaten track. So just like Capricorn was going off track, staying on track, making their own, these people are going off. It's like, I ain't doing that. I'm going to make it my own. I'm going to go up a different mountain. With advancement and progress on their minds, there can be an irreverence to the old and outdated ways of thinking and doing things. Many Aquarians aim to free themselves of personal and social conditioning. Although open to change in theory, Aquarians can be surprisingly stubborn. It's a fixed sign, of course. Their idealism runs strong, but they can be very fixed in their opinions. Oh, if it's all like this, but it's my way, it's like this. Often a bit aloof and even standoffish, Aquarians nonetheless are usually well-liked. They are curious and observant and tolerant in a broad sense. Aquarians are generally very clever and witty and intellectual. It's an air sign. They're going to be intellectual. They value, and they're also stubborn in their thoughts. They value progress and frankness. It's difficult to throw Aquarians for a loop. They're generally on top of things. There's a bit of a reformer in Aquarius. They'll try to get you to see through the superficiality and encourage you to be open and forthright. Aquarians need space and personal value, freedom, and value personal freedom. Any attempt to box them in will likely fail. Just like the Sagittarius. See, it's two signs away. It's 60 degrees. It's a sextile. So they will have that. These two have that freedom wanting ability. People with Aquarius suns. Justin Timberlake, Oprah Winfrey. And then she had the Sagittarius rising. Paris Hilton, Mozart, Ashton Kutcher, Ellen DeGeneres. You can see that with her, you know, that she's got that outside the box thinking, you know, and then her humor and her, that was definitely out there, you know, witty and avant-garde. Bob Marley, what did he write about? He wrote about, you know, freedom. He was all about freedom. Michael Jordan, Alicia, who is this? This is Alicia Keys. Yeah, what was her name? All right. Aquarius rising. How unique and original Aquarius rising natives come across, right? That's the rising energy. I'm unique. Look at me being unique and clever. These individuals are just that, individuals, and they won't let you forget that fact. Often tuned to for advice, these natives possess intellectual poison savvy. They often are curious and quite learned in both science and metaphysics. It's hard to shock an Aquarius rising. They've seen it all, at least they want you to think they have. They like to get a rise out of others. Some natives born with Aquarius on their ascendants can be quite provocative and irreverent. I'd say that's the perfect word for that, irreverent. Most people with this ascendant are quite friendly and likable. Their personality quirks generally go over well with others. Those are the ones that kind of jib you, or they give you a little teasing. They like to tease there. They generally give others quite a bit of freedom, accepting, as a rule, people from all walks of life as equals. And their somewhat cool and detached curiosity about all that goes on around them appeals to most. Curiously, Aquarius rising people can be a little standoffish while also coming across as humanitarian and kind. It's like a mixed bags with these the way this rolls out, you know, so that cool, look at me, I'm original and unique, while I'm loving you and talking about humanitarian things. It's interesting mix. Often labeled as independent and original, children, Aquarian rising natives often feel a little different or special throughout life. They often feel like they are on the outside looking in, and their ability to observe and deduce is uncanny. Famous people with Aquarius rising, Barack Obama, Christina Aguilera. Who is this? Like David Robert Jones. I forgot. There was another name. It was I'm blanking on that one. Jim Morrison. You know, the Sagittarius with an Aquarius rising. Look at that. I mean, just as a freedom-loving person, right? Audrey Hepburn, Carl Gustav, Russell Crowe, Joanne Rowling. She wrote what the Harry Potter books. Matt Damon, Abraham Lincoln, Aquarius rising. Yeah, I mean, come on, that's pretty interesting. Janis Joplin, Krishnamurti. Yeah. All right, Sun and Pisces. The Sun and Pisces are incredibly intuitive, dreamy, artistic, and often express themselves best through creative endeavors. These individuals are not only changeable and adaptable, they have open minds and tremendous understanding. But Pisces itself is often misunderstood. Pisces suns spend a good portion of their lives yearning for understanding, and the other part in a state of divine discontent. Suffering is sometimes glamorized in the Piscean world. Sun and Pisces people are frequently pegged as wishy-washy, but this is all a matter of opinion. what you will find behind is a vaguely directionless, spacey manner is a deep person with real dreams. Pisceans are not known to be cutthroat business types, nor are they given to throwing themselves out into the world in an aggressive manner. But make no mistake about it, Pisces can be extraordinarily successful when given the chance to express themselves. The arts, marketing, music, teaching, drama, healing arts are all fields in which the Pisces can find expression. If they can operate more through their intuition than their intellect, that's where they'd rather be. It's a sensitive sign both to criticism and to others' feelings. Really got to be careful with wounding a Pisces, with saying something too harsh, either to the sun or to the rising. They believe in people, are deeply hurt by compassionless human behavior, and have a hard time saying no. Harsh realities are avoided either through escapist behavior or self-delusion. But every now and again, reality does raise its ugly head and hits Pisces over the head. This is a sad time indeed. Pisces retreats in their own world, self-pitying and giving pep talks to themselves. I'll never trust again. Rest assured, though, that these periods are rather short-lived and even useful. Pisces seems to derive energy from their generally short-lived bouts of self-pity. And they come back energized. It's kind of a funny thing. It's always funny, you know, when you get into some of these little nuggets and you see these people, all of us, you know, we see ourselves, we see different parts of ourselves, but you see that mirror, that reflection, or that facet, and it's just fascinating. It just, to me, it's just fascinating. And then when you get the little nugget about yourself, you're like, yep. And then you blend it with a lot of the other things. It just makes understanding your personality so fun. So famous people with Sun in Pisces are Albert Einstein, Steve Jobs, Kurt Cobain, Elizabeth Taylor, Bruce Willis, Cynthia Crawford, Drew Barrymore, George Harrison, Osama bin Laden, Edgar Casey. Not interesting. I mean, I would think that for sure, Edgar Casey. Bon Jovi. Now, people with Pisces rising, they go with the flow, seems to be their motto. You know, it's like that receptiveness is on the outside. They move about the world in a vaguely directionless but gentle manner. They come across as artists, lovers, musicians, artists and lovers of peace. But their open minds and hearts can also give them a chameleon-like persona. Others are not always sure who they'll meet from one day to the next with a Pisces rising person. You know, because they're kind of, well, they're definitely chameleon-like, and they're empathic, and they take on a lot of vibes from people around them. Although often quiet and shy, another day they may find themselves talkative and passionate. They are hugely impressionable, have a dreamy disposition, and and project a soft-hearted personality. Totally different than Scorpio rising. Pisces rising sees the world the way they want to see it at any given time. So objectivity is not necessarily a strong point. Neither is decision making. People with Pisces rising resist any kind of labeling. Their characters are changeable, and they don't want to be pinned down or pegged in any way. Theirs is a restless, searching nature that cannot be happy with any one way of living or being. Pisces rising avoids cold, hard facts and harsh realities like the plague. They often don't have a decisive plan for tomorrow or even today, preferring to keep things open. Since they change their minds frequently enough, they like to feel their way through life. Through life. Too much organization or structuring can be very limiting. Pisces rising people walk around with their heads in the clouds. And even when you do have their attention, their dreaminess is almost always apparent. These people look for a stable partnership. I would hope so. One that's reliable and grounding. They would definitely need that. Pisces rising people gravitate to partners who keep them on their toes, and they will often pass off the little details and reality checks to the significant other. They seem to need a practical, realistic partner. People with Pisces rising. Michael Jackson. Not that makes sense. He is like, to me, like super, super sensitive. I mean, like a was a shrinking violet, like you said something, and he's even so soft spoken. Amazing. I mean, that was like hit on. Whitney Houston. I think this is Demi Moore. Ellen DeGeneres. Robert Redford. Johnny Cash. Alphonse Capone. Ringo Starr. All right, so those are, let's just stop share. Those are the big differences between those signs all the way around. So it's definitely a interesting blend to look at your sun and your basic essence of life and compare that with your rising sign and just get that mix. And it just gives you a little bit more well-rounded view of yourself. And we can start look at the ruling planet. What's the ruling planet of your sun and where is that? And how is it either adding or nullifying that? And then the ruling planet of the ascendant. Is it adding to it or, you know, giving it a different angle? So I hope this has been insightful. I know this is a very complicated topic, but, you know, it follows these same kind of, the same rules, the same layout, like we were talking about in the other planets, you know, the inner planets and then the outer planets has those same energies, but we just have to twist it to what we're talking about. If we're talking about describing your mind, we have to contain it to the mind. If we're talking about the emotions or the way your appearance, your outer self. So just got to get that mix and keep mixing it together because it's a lifetime study of yourself for sure, you know, just to get how you are. And then as you progress, how you change too. But you always have that individual mold that you were born into. And then as we change through life, we have something that we're working from and moving away and moving toward other things. So that's when we get into those angles and those aspects. So hope that was fun and we'll talk to you next time. Visit me on Astro Breeze and we'll see you again. Bye. Thanks for watching. Let's see.